everyone, and welcome to The Big Picture, the show where we talk about the biggest things that are going on in the film industry at the moment. On this week's show, we'll be talking about two of the most anticipated releases of this year, Deadpool 2 and The Incredibles 2, as well as doing a full spoiler-filled review of the recently released Avengers Infinity War. And joining me this week are two very special guests, James Lees and Luke Sheed. How are you two doing?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, very good, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So to start off, Deadpool 2 is going to be released on 16th May and again stars the hilarious and brilliant Ryan Reynolds as the foul-mouthed anti-hero. And here is the trailer for the film. Now, compared to other superhero characters, he can seem a bit unorthodox in how he acts, the use of bad language and the high levels of violence. With all this, do you think Deadpool is a good change, a refreshing change of character?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you compare him to other Marvel superheroes like, I don't know, the Hulk, Iron Man, Thor, there's a lot of blood and killing and swearing and all this stuff that you wouldn't see normal superheroes doing. So he's definitely different. It's a change and a refreshing change. I'm excited to see this movie.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think superhero films, they always follow the same sort of style. All the characters usually have the same motives. Save this person, make sure, do it for selfless reasons. And I think Deadpool just adds a new spin on that. He's not technically a superhero in himself. He only does stuff, realistically speaking, for himself. I think they definitely a refreshing change. I much prefer this sort of dark take. He's taken comedic, but also very, very violent. So I'm hoping it'll be good. Yeah.
In Mutants 100, Cable was the one who originally founded X-Force, and like any superhero film, there are always differences from the comics. That being said, do you think there will be any issues with the change from Cable to Deadpool being the founder?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it's going to be different, definitely, but that's not a bad thing. Deadpool's sort of go with the flow, does what he wants, and he improvises a lot. And having Cable as the bad guy, someone who's really regiment and methodical and ruthless, that's going to be good for the movie. I think, it's going to be different from the comics, but it's a different platform altogether, having it be a film. So it's a welcome change in my books, definitely.
Yeah, I think if it was to follow the comics all the way, I mean, people would know what would happen. They'd know how things were to go. I think by adding this whole big spin on it of Cable being the villain now, people can't really expect anything from this. They don't know what to expect, which I think is a very good thing. I think Cable suits being a villain himself. I don't think Deadpool would suit it at all, but I think Cable with seriousness really goes along with it. And Deadpool being the leader of X-Force now will be kind of stupid, but also quite wacky and more entertaining out of that. I think their clash is the seriousness and his Deadpool being Deadpool, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, it would. I think it would be much better than that.
Okay, so when looking at Deadpool 2, do you believe it'll do as well as a sequel? Keeping in mind there were a lot of issues when the test screenings happened. Multiple people rumoured to have called the film a big mess.
I think it'll do better than the original Deadpool. Because, I mean, even if there are loads of swap rounds with actors or directors behind the scenes, as long as it's got its core formula that made the first one so good, obviously, the 18 rating and Ryan Reynolds and the jokes and music and everything, it really sticks with the audience. So I think it's going to do better than the first one. I mean, at least I hope it does. I like the first one, so yeah.
Yeah, I think they can only really improve from the first one. The first one added this whole new spin on the superhero films, which got a lot of people. It was a bit rough. Even the first one had its own problems. In fact, funding for the first one was awful. I mean, they had to leak certain parts of it just to try and get the funding for it. So I think it's no secret that it's had its flaws in the past, but they've always managed to push through that and make a very good film. And I think, whilst it does have that controversy around it, I reckon it will push through like the first one did. I think it'll be better than the other one.
Moving on from this, we are now going to be talking about one of the most anticipated sequels of the decade, involving a seemingly normal family of 5 who each possess unique abilities, and we are of course talking about The Incredibles. The first film came out in 2004 with voice acting by Craig T. Nelson, who voiced Mr. Incredible, and Samuel L. Jackson as Frozone. And here is the most recent trailer for the film. Now, with it being almost 14 years since the first film was released, do you think it will live up to the hype despite the long wait?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the first movie was really well renowned when it came out and continued to be years after. It's the animation holds up and it's this really good blend of family and comedy and action and development and everything. So this next one's probably going to be just as good, if not more. I mean, especially since it leads off right where the first one ended. So yeah, I think it's going to do a good job, pretty much.
You know, it's been a long time. When we first saw this film, we were all kids. Now the second film is coming out, and we've grown up quite a lot. So is it different? Do you think there'll be the same impact, or will it be slightly different?
I think it's more on the, since as they know their fan base has probably grown up, I reckon they'll cater more to that. I think they'll add jokes for all ages, you know, targeting, like the first one was targeted like more for children, but also it was an adult film that everyone could enjoy. But I reckon now they'll make their jokes a lot more wide varied. I think they'll definitely do a good job of it. Pixar being a good film creator, I reckon they know what they're doing with this, and especially with Incredibles, which people know. It's going to be a very highly anticipated film. I reckon they'll be able to really knock this one out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to do well.
Have you become more or less excited as the gap between the two films has increased?
I think only more excited. I mean, it's been a really long time, yeah, but like I said, the first one left on a cliffhanger, and that movie is, you know, it held a special place in a lot of people's hearts because it came out when we were little kids, and it's really cool to have superheroes, be like a family and everything. So I've only become more excited, to be honest. There's nothing really let me down over the years. I've just been waiting so long for this movie, so yeah, I can't wait to see it. Yeah,
I think this happened to most people that like our age that have seen it. Obviously, there were rumours of when it would come out before. Those unfortunately were to be fake. I think over time, as it would do, you know, it's not on your mind constantly. The expectation, you know, it did die down. It was a thing, but now that it's coming back, I think many people that have had that sort of excitement that has died down has only come back, I think, bigger than it would have done. So I think it was much more beneficial for the actual Incredibles 2.
So which film out of Deadpool 2 and Incredibles 2 are you looking forward to the most, and why?
I think definitely Incredibles 2, because even though the Deadpool movie was really good and funny and everything, I really liked it. Incredibles 2, like you said, has been so long waiting for this movie, and it's been on a cliffhanger that whole time. So I really want to see what happens. I'm much more excited to see, you know, where the Incredibles family is going to go next than what Deadpool's next big adventure is, to be honest. Yeah, definitely the Incredibles 2.
I think it's a hard one because they're very different genres of films. I think Deadpool, whilst it's been a lot more recent, superhero films can have come out a lot more, and whilst it isn't your traditional superhero film, it does sort of run in the same way partially. Whereas Incredibles, obviously, every single Pixar film is different. It all has its own storyline, its own little way of doing things. I think that definitely with the wait and the nostalgia from being able to relive your childhood. I mean, it's been all these years. I genuinely think, yeah, Incredibles 2, without a doubt.
Okay, thanks guys. So after the break, we'll be talking about Avengers Infinity War. And we're going to be going over all the stuff from the film which has affected us, which was a lot. So we'll be back in a bit.
Not to know what to believe in, yeah. If I can live through this, if I can live through this, if I can live through this, I can do anything.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to The Big Picture. We are still here with James and Luke. Before we get started, here is a quick preview for Avengers Infinity War, which we'll be talking about shortly. We are now in the review part of the show, and I just want to say right off the bat that this part will have major spoilers for Avengers Infinity War. So if you haven't seen the film, or just don't watch this part of the show. So to start off, what were each of your favourite parts of the film?
I think my favourite part was the last big, you know, the final battle in Wakanda, with everyone just running around and beating up aliens. There was a massive force field and loads of soldiers, and then Thor showed up as well, just teleported in with his new hammer axe thing, and yeah, it was a big final battle. It looked really like visually stunning, and it was a good soundtrack as well, and all the characters were coming together. There was the Hulkbuster there. That's definitely my favourite part of the film. It was really good.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely was an amazing part. I think mine was probably just after that with Thanos, and after that massive scene, obviously, it's all been this big fight, and then at the end, Thanos just comes in and kills Vision in one of the worst ways, I suppose. I think that was a big part, not to mention after he snaps his fingers.
Yeah.
You know, each character dying, and they had their own way of dying. It wasn't just, you know, the same thing over and over again. So each one kind of got you more and more and more. So I think like that definitely was one that shocked me the most. I'm happy they did it. I think but yeah, it really shocked me when I saw it.
Yeah.
Since there were so many characters in the film, do you think it worked well as a culmination of the last 10 years of the MCU?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, pacing can be a little bit of an issue when you have so many main characters just running around doing stuff with their own storylines going on. But I think they did a good job. I mean, it could have been much worse. They could have ruined that movie. But yeah, I think having like all these characters from like the last 10 years of Marvel with their own storylines going on and now all coming together, showing their own developments and everything, I think they did a good job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say?
Oh, sorry. No, I was going to say, you know, as it said, the pacing for me, don't want to be the downer of it, but I think that was the probably the part that I had a bit of an issue with. A lot of scenes were very fast paced and other scenes were a bit slower, and they tied them together, you know, because they did have relation. They did have, you know, have sort of relation to each other, which obviously was very good. I think they did it better than what I expected, but it did let down the film a little bit in certain parts of being, you know, a really excited action scene into this other sort of build up. I think,
Yeah, it's a little bit weird, wasn't it?
Do you have any theories as to the outcome of Avengers 4 based on what you've seen in Infinity War?
I think, well, Captain Marvel's obviously going to show up after looking at the post-credit scene with Samuel L. Jackson. No, sorry, not Samuel L. Jackson. No, it is Samuel L. Jackson, isn't it? Yeah. So she's going to be the key to beating Thanos. I don't know how, but they're definitely going to sort of make a big revenge thing with Captain Marvel. I mean, everyone's looking for revenge. Everyone's friends died, so yeah, they're definitely going to do something with Captain Marvel. That's all I can tell.
Like that, I think there are a few people that were missing from that film. You know, Ant-Man and Wasp, and even if you want to add in Hawkeye as well, he could do something. I mean, I don't know, against Thanos. But I think definitely, yeah, with everything going on, I reckon like the people that haven't really been in it a lot, I think they'll play a big part of it, as you said. Loads of people are dead at the moment. In the final credit scene, you saw the world going basically to chaos. So I reckon he'll be sort of dealing with that, then going after Thanos to try and fix it all.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Hopefully Spider-Man comes back for his movies.
Hopefully, I mean.
We haven't seen Spider-Man for that long, have we?
Exactly.
No.
Yeah, he needs more screen time. Tom Holland's pretty good at what he does.
So, is there anything else? You know what? Like, have you been drawn to any other character
I think
in the film? Like, is there one specific character that you feel like really drawn to?
I really liked Thor with his little redemption arc. You know, he got his hammer axe thing back, and he even got another eye, which is really cool. So he's sort of like redeemed himself, and now he's, you know, got all his power from being the god of thunder and everything. So Thor really stood out to me.
No, I think I much preferred Scarlet Witch in that film. I think like before she had quite a big role to play, but they never really fully like showed her off. Whereas in this one they gave her a massive part, and I think they worked really well around her. So yeah.
Okay, thank you guys for joining me this week. We hope to have you back on the show in the future. On next week's show, we'll be talking about the newest Star Wars films, including Solo, A Star Wars Story, and the various connections within the Star Wars franchise. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.